All right, welcome to another episode of The American Dream, the only show that goes against the grain of all that negative stuff you see in the media. Unscripted, commercial-free, not owned by any network. Today's theme, honoring our heroes. You're going to love today's show. We've compiled interviews between our co-hosts and myself to create a great show for you. Of course, with every show, our goal, educate, empower, and engage your American dream. Let's start the show right now. Every single day, you are consumed with information. With the 24/7 negative news cycle and the pop culture that's polluting the airways, all selling out for the ratings game. Well, guess what? There's a more positive way to look at life. You live in the greatest city in the greatest country on the planet. Every day with our elite network of professionals, our goal is to educate, empower, and engage. And now it's time to fight for your American dream. Now for the word on the American dream. Today's show, we have themed it honoring those who make an impact, and here's why. See, if you look at the mainstream media, how do they make their money, make their ratings? They do it by dividing us on race, gender, socioeconomic class, politics, and look what it's doing to this country. We go the opposite direction. We want to give you a positive, uplifting message, something of substance. Today, we're going to honor those making an impact, those who've served in the military, businesses that are helping to grow our economy, local professionals who are the best in business to give you advice about your American dream. That is our message. We hope you can breathe oxygen into it, not only by watching the show here today, but following us on social media. We feel like we can rob the oxygen out of that negative message, breathe it into this one called The American Dream. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start these awesome interviews and empower yours.
Hey, I'm Jenn Morris, co-host of The American Dream. Are you sick of the negative media? Then join the conversation online.
One of our favorite topics on The American Dream, tech trends. Joining us in studio, one of our favorite guests, Daniel Hindi, the CTO of Buildfire. I just got my iPhone X, man. The world's moving, it's changing.
It is, it is.
The jury's still out on this thing, though.
It is.
Yeah, is that what you're hearing too?
Absolutely. Yeah, you see the steam sort of let out a little bit on the iPhone 10. Usually the adoption rate is much higher.
Yeah.
It's just getting there a little bit slower. Apple tends to nudge people where they want them to go.
I think so.
This is the first one where you see the steam is let out a little bit.
Yeah, I was yelling at Siri this morning. Can I start real quick with a disclaimer?
Sure.
These are first world problems, right?
Absolutely.
These are first world problems. I feel terrible even
complain.
complaining about Siri and my iPhone. But since we're on the topic of tech, I mean, it's a fascinating topic. The world's moving so fast. A lot of cool things are just changing everything. Give us kind of a status quo, where are we at today? And I always like to get a feel from you for where you think this thing is moving over the next 3, 5, 10 years.
Absolutely. We're going to see some trends continue.
Yep.
We're going to see some trends shift and get modified as they learn from the market a little bit. But what we've boiled down 2018 major themes is to 3 major categories.
Okay.
Intelligent, virtual, fabric.
Okay.
If you keep those 3 in mind, you sort of understand where the trends are going. With intelligent, you're going to see intelligent apps, intelligent things, and intelligent security increase.
Example.
So intelligent apps, we've already spoken a lot about in the previous episodes about machine learning and deep learning.
Yep.
You're going to see that move more into the retail realm, where that gets accessible to the average business.
Okay.
Where you're learning a lot more being proactive versus reactive. Intelligent things, we've seen intelligent homes in the sales of the last Black Friday with Alexa and Echo and
Yep.
so on. The intelligent home is becoming a lot more mainstream.
Okay.
And something that people don't talk a lot about is intelligent security, with all the hackers and hackers getting a lot more smart and cunning in their ways. You're going to see that power of artificial intelligence move to the security realm and be a lot more smarter with our intelligence.
Virtual.
Virtual. You and I have spoken a lot about virtual reality and augmented reality, but we're also introducing the trend of digital twin. Now, we've sort of seen digital twin before. You've seen that in homes where you have a virtual representation of the home and the model home and how it looks. We've seen that in vehicles. We've seen that in products. You're going to see that move a little bit more into the utility realm.
You mentioned fabric. What the heck do you mean by fabric?
The fabric is all about everything meshing together as one. So you're going to see your solutions a lot more integrated. You're going to see the power of the hive, and I'll talk about that in just a second, and edge processing. So you're going to see all the solutions that you deal with. I mean, we've seen the move from desktop apps to web apps, and web apps have a mirror image on mobile apps. Well, you're going to see inter-app communication a lot more mainstream. So you're moving from one app to the other without feeling like you moved from one app to the other. So they're going to integrate a lot more tightly as a seamless experience. When you look at the power of the Hive, for example, these smartphones that we have, I run over 80 servers. Some of my servers are not as strong as a mobile app, or a mobile phone, sorry. Because they're very myopic. These phones are getting a lot more stronger, so what you're going to see is the cloud that we know about, a dynamic collection of servers, actually increase in size and make it all the way to the edge, which is your desktop computers, your laptops, and your cell phones, and have distributed computing. The biggest rise of that we've seen is a technology called blockchain. Blockchain is the power behind all the ICOs that you see, Bitcoin and so forth. So that's all about the distributed processing and not a monolithic system that governs it all.
Everything we're talking about, tech advancements are amazing, right? I mean, it's just amazing what the world has moved to, and you just got to wonder what is it going to be like in 2, 4, 10 years, right? Social media, connectivity. You can talk to someone in Germany, you could talk to someone that you went to high school with, you never thought you'd see again. That realm is cool. There's also the whole fake news, word of the year, by the way. It's polluted. I have to be very limited with how much I get into it because it doesn't make my mood go up usually. It's usually the other way, believe it or not. So what do you think the future of social media is? It's become, Zuckerberg's gone through a lot this year trying to defend it. Do you think it still remains a force? Do you think a new type of medium arises? What are your thoughts?
So I think it'll still be a force, however the cat's out of the bag. One, people understanding that you are the product. Again, we've mentioned before, if it's free, you are the product.
Right.
And so people are understanding that a lot more. The blatant ads are getting a little bit tiresome for people. And obviously the manipulation to adjust moods and opinions is a big issue nowadays. So you're going to see it continue. However, my prediction is it's going to be a lot more subtle because the way they're doing it right now, it's blatant to everybody.
Let's tick people off.
It's upsetting people because if you go and look up a particular car brand because you're thinking about buying it, and all of a sudden you're bombarded with ads everywhere about that particular brand. If you lean, the problem with and Google's guilty of this as well. You have an echo chamber. If I lean right, all I hear is additional opinions that support mine. If I lean left, all I hear is opinions that support mine. And humans tend to have the trend of agreeing with opinions that I hear that I already agree with because it supports my hypothesis.
Of course. And you see that discounting in real media, not just social media.
Absolutely. So that echo chamber is becoming a problem. So it's good to hear the other side. Even if you disagree with it, it's good to hear the other side. And I think people are wanting to do that. I don't have to agree with everything I hear. Give me the variety.
Give me some objectivity, some variety, so I can filter it to come up with my own opinion.
Absolutely. That puts a big responsibility on the media to be, I mean, name the outlet and you can tell right off the bat where they lean, right?
Right, of course.
So things like social media, they're supposed to be agnostic. They read off of you with their intelligence, and then if you're left-leaning, everything you see is left-leaning. If you're right-leaning, everything is right-leaning. And the truth of the matter is we just need to be more educated in an unbiased sense in all of our outlets.
Interesting. Daniel, Hindi, man, I love this topic with you. It's exciting where the world is, where it's headed, but there's certainly it's a shaky landscape, right? I mean,
we'll navigate through it.
Yeah, we'll get through it, and like I said, first world problems, right?
Absolutely.
CTO of Buildfire. I hope people connect with you. You're building apps for businesses and people. Awesome what you're doing. All right, more of the American Dream coming up next.
I'm Jenn Morris, co-host of The American Dream. Are you interested in finance, real estate, entrepreneurship, or business? Well, you can follow us along online and watch more of our episodes.
All right, welcome back to The American Dream. Tax reform. This is a big topic of conversation. Not only that, when you're talking about the media, but what does it actually mean to you? Joining us on the show, Jesse Lipscomb, enrolled agent with Roadmap Tax Services, former radio host.
Yeah, I got a face for radio. What can I say?
KCBQ together.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to have you on The American Dream.
Thanks, Craig. It's great to be here. I've got something regarding tax reform that'll help everybody understand it.
Okay, let it rip.
Super easy. Love them or hate them, who is Donald Trump? He's married, he has a kid, he's an entrepreneur, and he's a real estate investor.
Yep.
And if you hit those 4 categories, you just won the lottery.
So a lot of what you're suggesting is that the reform that came through, it's benefiting those sectors, so to speak.
Specifically,
not to call married a sector, but there's tax advantages for getting married.
It used to be, Craig, that there was something called a marriage penalty, where the 2 single professionals get married, their stacked income is taxed at a higher rate. It's just the opposite right now. Now it's as if the tax code or the tax reform looked at married brackets, and then if you're not married filing jointly, everything else is half of that. And so what you'll find, if you are a single professional, or single regardless, and you're making over $157,000 a year taxable, you find yourself hitting higher tax brackets quicker. Okay? Whereas married, you're either lower or the same.
Give me the overall perks, pros and cons, right? So who's coming out winning, specifics? I'd love to talk a little bit more about real estate. I know that was a big one, and I know that's something that you actually specialize in. Right. And then also, who are the losers?
So taking away married or single, let's just focus on who's really going to benefit. I said Trump was an entrepreneur and a real estate investor.
Yep.
Craig, there is now a 20% deduction for having a profit in your business. If you're a sole proprietor, a partnership, or an S corporation, it's a 20% deduction that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And let's compare somebody that's gone out and taken all the risk, like a real estate agent, and he's doing well, he's successful, he makes $150,000 a year. Okay? He's got an S corporation, he has $50,000 of salary, $100,000 of profit. On that $100,000 of profit, he's going to receive an additional $20,000 deduction that his peer, that's a $150,000 a year engineer, W-2 employee, doesn't get.
Why? Business owner?
Yeah, it's a net business income deduction.
Huh.
He's taking the risk and now he's getting the benefit.
Okay, so somebody who's a W-2 employee, just using the same numbers, they're going to not get that advantage versus somebody who, a realtor isn't necessarily a business owner, but they're 1099, they open up an S corp.
Yeah, they're self-employed. That's the key. So true is it with real estate investors. If all you have are real estate holdings, it's all you have, and you've done very well over the years, you're making $100,000 a year, which would be tremendous as a real estate investor. You're going to receive $20,000 in additional deductions that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten. And so, again, if you look at it, who does it help? It helps people that are getting out there, small businesses, including self-employed professionals, consultants, real estate agents. I think they're the backbone of America. Your show, The American Dream. I think that's the American dream of controlling yours. If you can control your own business and control your own destiny, I think that's really what it's all about. And now those people are being not penalized. In fact, they're being rewarded for taking all of those risks.
All right, Jesse Lipscomb, the best analysis we've got on tax reform yet. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Thanks, Greg.
I hope people connect with you online, roadmaptax.com, learn more. You got questions. I still have plenty, so we're going to get you on the show again here soon enough.
Sounds great.
All right, more of The American Dream coming up next. Well, as you know, The American Dream is a national program where we focus on business, the entrepreneurial spirit, overcoming adversity, finance, the market, all things that are relevant to empowering your American dream. But a big topic of conversation on this show is housing. So what we do is we integrate local, top-producing, award-winning realtors to cover a wide range of topics on that subject, different micro markets, different niche subject matter. Housing is such a big topic, so we're going to bring you a lot of information right now from some of the best in your market. Let's check out these interviews.
Welcome back to The American Dream. My next guest is a show regular. She's a top producer and president of Paige, Heavey Fine Properties Group with Coldwell Banker. And today she brought along a guest. We have Kate Seastone joining us, president of Simplicit Financial. Ladies, thank you so much for being on the show.
It's good to be back on The American Dream. Thank you, Jen.
Oh, absolutely. Such a pleasure to have you here. Paige, you mentioned in a previous show that you would educate our viewers on real estate as an investment. Good. It's really great to have you back. And I just want to lead off with that question.
You bet. You know, many experts recommend investing in real estate to help in building wealth. And I've seen that when done correctly, it has been quite lucrative. Thankfully, here in Arizona, with our sunshine, our schools, and our lifestyle, people from all over the world have been attracted to come here, whether to purchase primary or vacation homes or real estate investment properties. So from time to time, I like to sit back and analyze our real estate performance. And the chart that you'll see is from the Cromford Report. And I looked at specifically homes, price per square foot for homes here in our county from 2000 through 2017. And you'll see in the very beginning, homes were being purchased for about $96 per square foot. Fast forward until the end of last year, and homes were selling for $165 per square foot. That represents a 72% return on investment. Now, if someone were unfortunate and happened to sell at the worst time, they would have incurred a 13% loss. But if they were lucky and they sold at the best time, they would have recognized a 104% gain. While it's kind of risky to try and time the market, it's more realistic to look at over time. So here in Maricopa County, we have enjoyed a 4% year-over-year increase, which represents a 72% total return on investment.
Wow. Well, Kate, I want to gear my next question to you. You're a certified financial planner with an MBA. What are your thoughts on the stock market compared to what Paige just shared?
Well, thank you. I find what Paige shared in regards to real estate and the returns on that over that 18-year period, it's very interesting because I compare it to the S&P 500, which over that same time frame had about a 77% return, so only a 5-point difference. And if you compare the two, you'll actually see that both assets were very correlated and that a buy and hold strategy may have worked. But what I believe is that every person needs to evaluate the pros and cons of their investment options to make sure that they work together. For instance, with real estate, there are a lot of positives, such as income streams and tax advantages along the way, but with a cost of property taxes and repairs. Versus the stock market, you have liquidity and access, and it's a lot easier, but you have a lot more volatility. So each investment needs to be weighed against the family's criteria, things such as risk, accessibility to the funds, tax implications, as well as income streams. Because history is no guarantee of future results, but we are investing. It's important to invest to be able to create future hopes and dreams. And it all comes into balancing those dollars that come in. Are they going to go to our future hopes and dreams, or are they for our current lifestyle?
And you use a visual model that helps describe this, correct?
Yes, we do. It's called the Personal Economic Model. And you see that model here where the left side is a large tank, which represents all the income or money that comes into your life. It's a finite amount of money that then flows down into that monthly cash flow. You'll see then that taxes are paid or postponed, and then you hit that lifestyle regulator where you need to make that decision. Are we going to pump some up into that green and the yellow tank, the investment and savings tanks for our future hopes and dreams, or are we going to let it just flow on out to our current lifestyle, those things like our housing, our cars, our vacations, etc. See, because it all starts with that important question that we all need to consider, which is, what do we want our future cash flow to be? Do we want it to be better than it is today, the same, or worse? What I find is that most people say they want it to be better, if not the same. But to do that, it takes intentional planning. You have not only on your investment choices, but also on the stewardship of those dollars. Are you going to have them go towards your future lifestyle or your current lifestyle? You need to make that plan so you can create financial peace of mind.
Well, Kate, that's great advice. Paige, how does that circle back then to real estate?
You bet. Specific to investing in real estate, it's important that investors first sit down and identify their objectives and their criteria. What do they want their net income to be? What cash will they bring to the table? who would they like living in their particular properties. So once we have that information, we can go out and cast the net and find those locations and those properties and evaluate them against our objectives and criteria. And I will say that coming up later this month in Scottsdale is an investment opportunity that's not yet on the market. And if anyone has any questions, they can certainly reach out to me. I'd be glad to answer those questions and see how it fits their particular criteria.
Well, great advice today, ladies. Thank you both so much for coming on The American Dream.
Thank you.
Great to see you again. Thank you for having us.
Great to see you as well. And if you have any other questions, reach out to us online, AmericanDreamNetwork.tv, and we'll be right back with more of the show. My next guest is a top producer and all-around real estate rock star. I want to welcome back onto the show Amanda Todd, CEO and founder of the Amanda Todd Group. Amanda, it's so great to have you back.
Thanks for having me.
So what I want to talk to you about today, Amanda, is how our agents can utilize technology so that we get the most bang for our buck, and how do we go about choosing the right agent, especially one that we know is going to utilize all types of media platforms?
Definitely. Well, it's really important anymore for agents to utilize social media platforms especially, because it's really important to grab those buyers who may be on the fence and aren't really sure that they're ready to commit to a specific real estate agent or commit to the home searching process, but they're scrolling through their Instagram or their Facebook newsfeed and there's a property that pops up that they fall in love with and they say, I have to make that my home. I'm ready to go.
Sure. How much does photography impact the interest on social media?
Oh, it makes all the difference in the world, because 97% of home buyers are looking at properties online before they ever even step foot into the property. And so they have to be in love with the property before they ever even get there. The pictures need to be absolutely turnkey, ready to go. Cleared off counters, everything put away, just a really nice grab for that buyer, or like I said, that buyer who may be even thinking about buying, but if they fall in love with those pictures right away, they have to make that house theirs.
Is that what you and your team focus on? Because I know that you're really masters in strategizing your marketing of the different properties that you have.
Oh, it is so important, because we give people just enough that they can fall in love with the property, but then we don't give them a lot of details about the property without giving us their information so that we can follow up with them. Because that's the importance of that marketing approach, is being able to really truly engage with a potential buyer. So we have a specific number of photos that we post online. We always post pictures of the kitchen, the yard, the master bedroom, because those are the key features that people really want to see and fall in love with. And then we engage with them later to really gauge their interest on purchasing a property.
Now, I want to talk to you about that first impression. What do you think the importance is of curb appeal when you're taking those photographs? I mean, do people really make a judgment within a few seconds?
Absolutely. It's absolutely critical that somebody be in love with your home before they ever even make an appointment to go see it, because guess what? You're going to miss probably 90% of potential buyers if they don't fall in love with your home from the pictures.
What makes you and your team different, Amanda? You are such a heavy hitter in the real estate market. What is it that you do differently or above the rest that is the reason you are a top producer?
One of the things that I really feel like we do differently is we like to look at the home buying approach from the buyer standpoint. We all have been through it and know what it takes, and know, honestly, there can be some bumps in the road, and it's not an easy thing to purchase a home. And so it's important to us to look at that transaction through the lens of what a buyer goes through or a seller goes through, and try to circumvent as many of those difficulties or just kind of trying things that it can take. I mean, there's a lot of documentation you have to provide. You kind of feel like your privacy is being invaded, whether you're a buyer or a seller, because you basically have to turn your entire life over to someone. So we make it a point to really handle that with as much care as we possibly can in how we would want it to be handled for ourselves.
So what questions should a potential buyer or seller ask a potential agent?
It's really important to find out how an agent is utilizing technology to either market or help to the advantage of the potential buyer in finding properties that are either new on the market or not even on the market yet. One of the things that our team offers to sellers is when we walk in to meet with a seller, I can provide them an actual number of buyers who are actively searching in our database for homes that match the criteria of their home that I'm about to list for sale for them.
Wow, so you already have those prospective buyers already lined up.
We do. Inventory is so low, and so one of the most painful things to a seller is how long is it going to take to sell my house? Or is it going to sit on the market for a long time? And so if we can come to them and show them that we already have a very active database of clients who are searching for a home like theirs, that eases the pain of that process a lot more.
Absolutely. Well, see, this is why you are one of the best in the business, Amanda Todd. We always love having you on The American Dream.
Thanks for having me.
And if you have any other questions, reach out to us online, AmericanDreamNetwork.tv, and we'll be right back with more of the show.
You just heard from award-winning realtors about your marketplace. It's one thing to find your dream home. It's another thing to finance it. I've traveled the country to find the best mortgage experts in every city. You're going to hear from yours in a Mortgage Minute right now. Let's check it out.
We've got Kelly Zitlow, our mortgage expert here. Kelly, how do we know what size mortgages we can actually afford?
Oh, I think that's such a great question because in my opinion, what somebody can afford isn't necessarily always in line with what a lender will qualify somebody for. So I think that those are really different kind of topics and words. So in my mind, I always encourage people to really go through their budget and figure out based on their spending habits, what they're comfortable with, what payment are they comfortable with, and that will kind of drive what they can afford from a purchase price standpoint. Now, that's a little bit different than coming to a lender and saying, hey, what's the maximum I can qualify for? Because very often a lender will qualify somebody for a much larger payment than they're comfortable with or that they think they can afford. So understanding the difference is key. I think that it's important to know both, right? So what's the maximum you can qualify for from a lending standpoint? And then what are you comfortable with? You're the one that has to wake up every day and be comfortable with that house payment.
Sure. Great information today, Kelly. Thanks so much.
You bet.
Well, that's all for today's show of The American Dream, a national show all across the country going against the grain of that negative media. The show continues to go on. By on, I mean online. If you want to engage in the conversation, find us online. You can go to AmericanDreamNetwork.tv, hit up our social media links. Would love to hear from you. That's all for today's show. Cheers to your American Dream, and we'll see you next time.